This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Roll. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, the Ministry of Tourism making inroads in its overall plan to increase airlift to Grand Bahama. Cleopatra Murphy tells us efforts are paying off with the arrival of a new flight from a major U.S. city today.
189 passengers arrived on Grand Bahama Friday afternoon as Sunwing made its inaugural flight from Dallas, a part of Vacation Express's 8-city summer program. Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Dr. Michael Darville, was on hand to greet the guests as they arrived. He says the initiative is bringing passengers to fill hotel rooms.
Air passengers means more dollars as it relates to the tourism product, as it relates to the cruise ship passengers. So the Ministry of Tourism have a very dynamic and robust program to actually bring people through our airport, which results in more tourist dollars being spent on the island.
This is the third year of the airlift program, and Carmel Churchill, Director of Marketing Service for the Grand Bahama Island Tourism Board, says they are already seeing success with the Dallas route that continues through July 28th.
The load factors are actually looking pretty good. We are still making some new push so that we can come completely full for the entire season. So we're really excited about that. And from what we've seen from the customers, especially the ones that arrived today, they're quite excited to be here on Grand Bahama.
In addition to the Dallas market, new flights are arriving from Boston and Chicago. Director of Tourism Betty Bethel says the Dallas flight is historic because there has been no direct service since the closure of the Jack Tower Hotel in West End. She says the airlift program has been successful.
This year we have grown our summer program to 10 cities, which will help us to offset the soft economy in Canada, which has slowed our travel out of there quite a bit. So having 10 cities come out of the United States is going to certainly help us balance and grow our business coming in direct from these various cities.
This latest edition of the Vacation Express flights will continue at the Grand Bahama International Airport until the end of October. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
Thank you, Cleo. Well, next week has been designated Labor Week. As a prelude to the events, this morning, leaders in one of the major umbrella unions made a courtesy call at the Ministry of Grand Bahama. Italia Hall has that story.
The National Congress of Trade Unions of the Bahamas gearing up for the Sorrento Fox Labor Day Parade and Rally. The theme this year is Persevering with Persistence, the struggle continues. Labor leaders engage in discussions on a wide range of issues, including plans for the upcoming Labor Day holiday and the progress made in the labor movement over the past year. The Minister of Grand Bahama, Dr. Michael Darville, said the government is joining hands with the unions in celebrating the values of solidarity, compassion, social justice, and fighting for the underprivileged.
This is evidenced by the announcement of the Prime Minister on Wednesday past in his budget presentation that he intends for this government that the 3,000 temporary workers and contract workers will be regularized in the public service as permanent and pensionable. As Minister for Grand Bahama, I will do my endeavor best to work with the local chapters here on the island and all of the respective unions here to improve the quality of the workplace and the quality of treatment of the worker.
Leaders in the movement like former Area Vice President for the Bahamas Public Services Union, Alexander Barrows, and former Hotel Union Executive, the late Lloyd Cooper, will be honored. President of the National Congress of Trade Unions, John Pinder, says these men have been a pillar of strength in the trade union movement, and he's pleased with the government's efforts.
The government is doing all it can to ensure that workers get their rights protected. We certainly are celebrating from the Bahamas Public Service Union perspective those number of employees that were disenfranchised for a number of years, and we are satisfied that the government is doing what it can at this time to regularize those persons. I know that's great news for those in the northern region, in particular the school board and the local government board.
Events celebrating labor will continue on Labor Day, June 3rd, with the annual parade and rally leaving the BPSU Hall at 8 a.m. It's Talia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Now, the Night of Labor will be held this evening beginning at 7 p.m. at the BUT Hall in Pinehurst Loop. Meantime, elections for the Bahamas Union of Teachers will be one to watch next month, as embattled President Belinda Wilson is seeking another term in office. Sabrina Brown tells us that this time around, Wilson is focusing on empowerment.
President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Belinda Wilson, remains on suspension. However, she has her eyes set on another term at the helm of that organization. BUT elections are set for June 9th, and Wilson and her team have been canvassing the islands to garner support from educators in the public school system.
Our suspension was based on the findings of a forensic audit, which to our knowledge is in the possession of the executive committee. So we're hoping that that audit will be released in short order so that we can return to our rightful positions.
Wilson and two other executives have not been approved by the candidates committee for the upcoming elections, but she says they are confident that their names will be on the ballot come election day.
We would have appealed to the Elections Commission. They upheld the candidates committee's decision. So at present, we have retained the services of Queen's Counsel Wayne Monroe, and as we speak, the union has already been served a summons, and we look forward to being placed on the ballot and being successful in the Supreme Court of the Bahamas.
Wilson and her 14-member A-team are campaigning on a platform of empowerment for Bahamians.
We are to build a new Walkers Hall in New Providence, so we will be offering an IPO, an initial public offering, where our members and the public will be able to invest in that building and they will be able to get dividends. So that will be something new. I think we'll be the first union ever to offer an IPO.
Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
In news from the crime beat, more migrants handed over to immigration officials here on Grand Bahama. The U.S. Coast Guard vessel Robert Yard delivered 9 Cuban migrants to the custody of immigration officials this morning. The Cubans, 7 men and 2 women, were intercepted at sea some 17 miles southwest of Anguilla Key. They were apprehended while on a rustic vessel and claimed to have been on their way to Florida. Now, this is the second group of Cubans to be handed over to the Immigration Department by the Coast Guard this week. A suspect wanted for a murder that occurred in the nation's capital was captured in Bimini yesterday. Colin Adderley, a resident of New Providence, was arrested by Bimini police in the Allistown area yesterday without incident. A 20-year-old male of South Bimini was also arrested. He is expected to be charged with harboring a criminal. Meantime, rape and armed robbery suspect Paul Simon Roll, aka PJ, is now in custody. Roll turned himself into police at the Central Police Station early this morning. Police are thanking members of the public for assistance in both matters. Stay with us, there's more news right after this.